The air crackled with anticipation, the kind you feel before a storm or maybe before a carefully constructed facade begins to crumble. Nicki Minaj, never one to mince words, had just detonated a grenade in the manicured gardens of hip-hop royalty. Her target, Keyshia Ka'oir, the seemingly untouchable queen beside Gucci Mane. The accusation, delivered with Minaj's signature blend of bravado and venom, was simple yet devastating. Keyshia wasn't just Gucci's wife. She was his handler, a puppet master pulling strings from behind a flawless facade of marital bliss. The internet, of course, went wild. Theories bloomed like poisonous flowers, each more outlandish than the last. Was Gucci, the once unpredictable, raw, and often terrifying force of nature, now a mere shell, a carefully managed brand? Had Keyshia, with her calculated moves and unwavering control, effectively silenced the wild beast within? To understand the gravity of Nicki's words, you have to understand the mythology surrounding Gucci Mane. He wasn't just a rapper, he was a symbol of Atlanta's raw, unfiltered energy, a testament to the street's harsh realities. His music was chaotic, his life even more so. He battled addiction, faced prison time, and navigated the treacherous currents of the rap game with a reckless abandon that both terrified and captivated. Then he met Keyshia. Their love story, at first glance, was a fairy tale, a ride-or-die romance that blossomed against the odds. She stood by him through his darkest days, a beacon of stability in his turbulent world. They became the ultimate power couple, their image meticulously crafted and relentlessly promoted. But beneath the surface of lavish vacations and perfectly coordinated outfits, whispers of a different narrative began to emerge. Nicki's accusation wasn't entirely out of left field. Years prior, Waka, a former Brick Squad comrade of Gucci's, had hinted at a change in Gucci's demeanor after Keyshia entered the picture. He spoke of Gucci being sold out, no longer the same raw, untamed force he once knew. At the time, it was dismissed as disgruntled friend venting sour grapes over a fractured alliance. But now, in the context of Nicki's explosive claims, Waka's words took on a chilling new resonance. The narrative shifted. Keyshia, once hailed as Gucci's savior, was now being painted as his jailer. The woman who had helped him clean up his act was now accused of suppressing his very essence. The internet detectives, fueled by Nicki's cryptic tweets, unearthed old interviews, dissecting every word, every gesture, searching for clues to confirm their suspicions. One particular interview, a Breakfast Club appearance where Gucci and Keyshia were promoting his memoir, became ground zero for the conspiracy theories. Keyshia, in a seemingly innocuous moment, casually detailed her methods for managing Gucci's mental health. She spoke of deleting his social media accounts, changing his passwords, and controlling everything at home. Her intention, she claimed, was to protect him from public scrutiny during episodes. But to many, it sounded less like protection and more like control. The word hung in the air, heavy with implication. The question wasn't whether Keyshia loved Gucci, but whether that love had morphed into something more sinister, a desire to mold him into her ideal version, even if it meant sacrificing his authentic self. Had the wild Gucci Mane been tamed, sedated, and replaced with a carefully curated persona designed to maintain their power and prestige? The answer, it seemed, was buried deep within the gilded cage of their seemingly perfect marriage. Then came Keyshia's response, a breezy Instagram post featuring her vibing to Cardi B, a move that read less like indifference and more like a calculated jab at Nicki. The message was clear. She wasn't backing down, the gloves were off, and the battle lines were drawn. But the drama didn't stop there. Tasha K, the gossip blogger known for her unfiltered takes, threw gasoline on the fire with a post alleging that Gucci had initially pursued Nicki, only to be rebuffed. According to Tasha, Keyshia then stepped in, fixed his teeth, funded his transformation, and put him on prescription meds, all while morphing herself into Nicki's doppelganger. It was a wild claim, even by Tasha K's standards, but it resonated with many who already suspected something was amiss. Adding fuel to the inferno, old clips resurfaced of Gucci admitting that Keyshia had once had him committed to a mental hospital. He framed it as an act of love, a necessary intervention to save his life. But the internet wasn't buying it. The word kidnapped, used in some retellings of the story, echoed ominously. Combined with Keyshia's earlier comments about controlling his social media and passwords, the picture that emerged was far from the fairy tale romance they had so meticulously cultivated. The whispers of control intensified, fueled by resurfaced allegations of Keyshia's past. Rumors of infidelity, specifically an alleged affair with Yo Gotti while Gucci was incarcerated, swirled like a toxic cloud. The question arose, was Keyshia's iron grip on Gucci a way to maintain the upper hand, a preemptive strike against any potential rebellion? Tia Kemp, Rick Ross's ex, added another layer of intrigue, claiming she witnessed Keyshia leaving with Ross in a Rolls-Royce while Gucci was behind bars. Keyshia vehemently denied the allegations, but the damage was done. The narrative had solidified. Keyshia was a master manipulator, a woman who always held the leverage, regardless of the cost. Nicki, meanwhile, broadened her attack, targeting Charlemagne for providing Keyshia a platform. She accused him of being part of a larger industry conspiracy, a system designed to silence dissenting voices. By connecting Charlemagne to Wendy Williams' downfall, Nicki implied that Keyshia was not just a jealous wife, but a key player in a shadowy network of control. The internet exploded with theories, dissecting every detail of Keyshia's appearance, her style, her demeanor. The parallels between her and Nicki became impossible to ignore. The latex suits, the Barbie pink aesthetic, the overall image of a glamorous woman in control, it all pointed to a deliberate attempt to emulate Nicki's power. But Nicki wasn't just calling out imitation, she was exposing manipulation. Her words, "The buck stops here," were a clear threat. A promise to expose the truth, no matter how ugly. The implication was clear. She had receipts, evidence of a deeper conspiracy, and she wasn't afraid to use them. The question now was, what would Gucci do? Would he remain silent, a puppet in Keyshia's carefully orchestrated drama? Or would he finally break free, reclaiming his voice and revealing the truth behind their seemingly perfect facade? The answer, it seemed, was on the verge of being revealed, threatening to shatter the carefully constructed world of hip-hop power couples and expose the dark underbelly of fame and control. The silence from Gucci Mane was deafening. The man who had built a career on unfiltered honesty, brutal self-reflection, and a complete lack of fucks given was now conspicuously absent from the conversation. Was he muzzled, drugged, or simply complicit in his own narrative hijacking? The theories spiraled, each more outlandish than the last. Some speculated that Keyshia had him under a literal spell, a voodoo concoction designed to bind him to her will. Others posited a more mundane explanation, that he was simply enjoying the attention, the drama, the renewed interest in his brand. After all, his memoir was climbing the charts, fueled by the very controversy Nicki had ignited. But for many, the silence was the most damning evidence of all. It spoke volumes about the power dynamics at play, the suffocating control Keyshia allegedly wielded. It suggested that the Gucci Mane we knew, the raw, unfiltered voice of the streets, was gone, replaced by a carefully manufactured product, a puppet dancing to Keyshia's tune. And then there were the resurfaced apologies. Years ago, during a particularly dark period, Gucci had publicly apologized to Nicki Minaj, Drake, and Rick Ross for dissing them during a manic episode. He claimed he wasn't in his right mind, that he was battling demons he couldn't control. But now, with Keyshia's admission that she controls his online access, the question hung in the air. Who was really speaking when Gucci apologized? Was it the genuine remorse of a man struggling with his mental health, or the carefully crafted PR of a woman determined to protect her brand? The debate raged on, dividing the internet into warring factions. Team Nicki, armed with receipts and conspiracy theories, argued that Keyshia was a dangerous manipulator, a threat to Gucci's well-being and artistic integrity. Team Keyshia, fiercely loyal and unwavering in their support, defended her as a ride-or-die queen, a woman who had saved Gucci from himself and deserved nothing but respect. But lost in the crossfire was Gucci himself. The man at the center of the storm remained a ghost, a silent observer in his own drama. His silence became a weapon, a tool used by both sides to further their agendas. Nicki pointed to it as proof of Keyshia's control, while Keyshia's supporters claimed it was a sign of his trust and love. The truth, as always, was likely far more complex. Perhaps Gucci was genuinely happy, content to let Keyshia manage his affairs and protect him from the chaos of the outside world. Perhaps he had simply grown tired of the drama, the constant scrutiny, the endless cycle of addiction and recovery. Or perhaps, as Nicki suggested, he was trapped, a prisoner in a gilded cage, his voice silenced by the woman he loved. The only certainty was that the drama was far from over. Nicki Minaj had opened Pandora's box, unleashing a torrent of accusations, conspiracy theories, and long-buried secrets. The carefully constructed facade of hip-hop royalty was crumbling, revealing the messy, complicated, and often disturbing realities beneath. And as the dust settled, one question remained: who would emerge victorious, and at what cost? The image of Keyshia Ka'oir, draped in latex and bathed in pink light, suddenly felt less like aspirational glamour and more like a carefully constructed shield. Was she protecting Gucci from the world? Or was she protecting the world from Gucci? The line blurred, twisted, and ultimately vanished in the swirling vortex of accusations and denials. The Ka'oir Cosmetics promo shoots, once celebrated as a testament to her entrepreneurial spirit, were now dissected with surgical precision. Each pose, each outfit, each carefully curated detail was scrutinized for evidence of mimicry, for signs of an obsession bordering on the pathological. Was she simply inspired by Nicki Minaj's aesthetic? Or was she attempting to usurp her very identity, to become the woman Gucci allegedly desired but could never have? The whispers of witchcraft, dismissed by some as outlandish superstition, gained traction in certain corners of the internet. Bonding spells, whispered incantations, the dark arts employed to keep Gucci under her thumb, it was a narrative that played into the age-old trope of the powerful woman wielding supernatural influence over a vulnerable man. It was salacious, sensational, and utterly unprovable, but it tapped into a primal fear, the fear of losing control, of being manipulated by forces beyond our understanding. The defense of Keyshia, often framed as a defense of strong, independent women, rang hollow for many. Yes, she had stood by Gucci through thick and thin. Yes, she had helped him get sober, clean up his act, and build a successful empire. But did that give her the right to control his every move, to silence his voice, to erase his authentic self? The question hung in the air, unanswered and perhaps unanswerable. The industry insiders, the anonymous voices whispering from the shadows, painted a disturbing picture. Gucci's energy, they claimed, had shifted dramatically since his release from prison. He was more subdued, more compliant, almost robotic. The spark, the raw, untamed energy that had once defined him, had been extinguished, replaced by a carefully calibrated persona designed to please his wife and protect their brand. The lemon pepper wings with the main guts, as one commentator so eloquently put it, were the juiciest part of the story. The underlying truth, the raw, unfiltered reality that lay beneath the surface of the carefully constructed narrative. It was a story of power, control, and the sacrifices people make in the name of love, loyalty, and ambition. Nicki Minaj, ever the provocateur, had thrown down the gauntlet. She had challenged the status quo, exposed the cracks in the foundation, and forced everyone to confront the uncomfortable truths about the industry they idolized. Whether she was motivated by genuine concern for Gucci, by personal animosity towards Keyshia, or by a desire to simply stir the pot, the result was the same. The game had changed. The beef wasn't just about jealousy or petty rivalries. It was about something far more profound. The struggle for control in a world where power is often wielded in the shadows, where image is everything, and where the line between love and manipulation can become dangerously blurred. And as the drama unfolded, one thing became increasingly clear. The truth, like lemon pepper wings, was best served with a side of raw, unfiltered honesty. Whether anyone was willing to swallow it whole remained to be seen.